shape. Flat is a description of level and horizontal. The earth is 70% water, they tell us. I think it's a lot more because it's a lot bigger than they tell us. And that water is testably, measurably, observably, scientifically, provably flat. So there is no curvature. So flat is the plane of the earth. Hills and valleys, absolutely. Mount Everest, the ocean trenches, but everything else on average just lays out flat. Water lays flat. And people have such an amazing reaction to this. They get this guttural, like, you're an idiot, and they won't look. And the funny thing is, people that fight the flat earth is they're the people that don't know their own model, right? So when you mention flat earth, what comes in your head? This comes in your head. Oh, a disc in space. This was put into your head by the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society is a disinformation website that Google will be happy to serve up to you if you search flat earth, right? This is the mixing of two wrong models: a globe model in infinite space, impossible, and we can get into that, and a flat disk, which we don't think we are, floating in infinite space, which we don't think exists, right? And then anytime any mainstream media does an article, oops, I get rid of that, does an article that they always use this disk. There's a picture like this. No flat earther believes this. This is ridiculous. This is why people have this reaction. Oh, you're so stupid, because you've been programmed into thinking something flat earth is that it isn't. And you've also been, I don't know if you want to call it programmed. You were never taught to question your globe model. When I got into flat earth 2015, 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, you mention flat earth to somebody and immediately they laugh at you, point at you, make fun of you, and tell you that you need psychiatric help. But now you mention flat earth to somebody, they go, I heard something about that. I have a question. How does this work? Right? That's good. Right? Don't believe the earth is flat. I don't believe it's flat. I know it's not a ball. And if the best way to describe it is flat, level, stationary, non-moving. And that is scientifically provable, as opposed to infinite, fictitious, scientifically impossible space. It doesn't exist the way they tell us. It's actually scientifically impossible when you actually use your mind to think about these things, which they don't teach you how to do in school. So back to the question, who am I? I'm just a normal guy. Lost some friends, gained a lot more friends. I always wonder, what do I call them? People that are sleeping and just believe everything on the news. I call them normies. It's not a derogative phrase, although it's kind of weird. I would never want to be a normie. And I observe people, like in social gatherings. What are they talking about? Weather, sports, politics, topic of the day, and that's it. There's really nothing else. And, then when I get together at like a flat earth conference, like we're having one in February, the next one in October down in South Carolina, every single person there, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of us, is literally your best friend. You have so much in common, and there's never a moment of not having something fascinating to discuss. Fascinating. This world is the most amazing place. And the goal of education and government is to make you not see it, and make you just be a good little worker slave. Go to college, take accounting and managerial accounting, and take marketing and all these other things, and then go work in corporate America and be a slave for the corporate system, versus use the other 90% of your brain that they tell you that you don't use. Connect to nature, connect to higher source, expand your conscious thoughts, know where you are, know who has control over you, which is nobody, and manifest a world, without lack. There is no lack in this world. They just want you to believe in shortage and scarcity, and we're running out of this, we're running out of that. It's all nonsense. You'll see after this post on YouTube is you're going to get I have dedicated trolls that follow me everywhere, and they'll come in and they'll say, Dave's a scammer, he's trying to sell you a $3 app. The Earth is not flat. It is a globe, scientifically provable, but they never offer a single fact. And these channels that show up, and that have been doing it for years, these are the laziest trolls ever. Go to their channel. There's zero content. There's zero subs. Okay, nothing's there, and they never offer a proof. I have a standing offer out there. Take the Flat Earth App Challenge, or the Crash Course Challenge, which is on my website, flatearthdave.com. And if you can watch the first 3 videos on that playlist, or watch the videos on the app for 2 weeks, the featured video, and come up with 1 globe proof after that, I give you 3 Bitcoins. But the globe trolls will come out there with nonsensical arguments, and that they actually, I have to thank the trolls, because their stupid arguments inspire us to make even better and better videos exposing these nonsensical things. On the app, there's a button under the web button. There's a debunking the debunkers. So when you Google Flat Earth, you get all of their propaganda videos. Well, if you see one that's like, oh, top 10 reasons, if you search top 10 reasons the Earth is flat, you're going to get top 10 reasons the Earth is a globe, right? Because that's what they're going to feed you. And you'll get Professor Dave, who's not a professor, he's just a failed musician. And he will go through 10 straw man arguments, just nonsensical arguments. But to the non-thinking person, because of his sarcastic tone of voice and his professor name that he created for himself, people go, oh, well, I don't want to be stupid. That's it. Hey, if I could watch the sunset and then I can go up top of a building and watch it set again. That proves the Earth is flat. Or I can watch a boat go over the horizon. That proves that the Earth is flat. I mean, Earth is a globe. And then you don't think any further, but then we take those things and we break them down one by one, and we show you, actually, you're not seeing a boat go over the horizon. You're not seeing the sunset twice because you're up higher on a globe, right? So let's just show you one example here. We see things due to angular resolution. So if you have an empty horizon, you can get your camera, you can zoom in, and when you zoom in, you're basically increasing the angular size, and all of a sudden you'll see there are boats out there. There is land out there that you can't see, and that's just because of the angular resolution limits of your eyes. And you don't understand perspective. Something in the distance is smaller, but something small, like a tiny little wave in the foreground, will block a whole ship or a whole skyline or a whole mountain. And then you'll interpret that as a horizon. So, we break down all these things. We don't just go, they're lying. We show you why they're lying. The globers will come and go, flat earthers are stupid. They just insult this equation. Equation. Now people are freaking out. All right. And then you say it's 8 inches per mile squared. Either they short circuit because they don't like, that's too hard for me. It's the simplest equation ever. I'll explain it. It's very simple. But then they'll also argue, well, that's not the real equation, because 8 inches. And so if you're standing on a ball, right, which we are supposedly, your feet are horizontal to the ground below you. If you drew a line out directly from below your feet straight out, the Earth is going to curve away faster and faster over distance, because it's curving. It's not a slope. It's just, it's not a ramp. It's a curve. So the first mile, there's 8 inches of curvature. 1 mile times 8 inches, 8 inches. 2 miles is, you have to square the miles because it curves faster and faster. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 8 is 32 inches. 3 miles is 6 feet. According to globe math, 6 feet, right? At just 3 miles. So a 6 foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water should not be able to see the surface of the water beyond 8 miles. Not beyond 3 miles, sorry, because that it's dropping below a physical horizon, right, on a ball. But the truth is, we can take our super zoom cameras, or even at that distance, our naked eyes, and we can see the surface of the water from much, much, much farther. At 10 miles, there should be 66 feet. This is the one thing that got me. When I finally agreed to look at flat Earth, basically just to debunk it and prove the globe, I kept seeing all these videos of people zooming in on boats that supposedly were over the curve. And I said, you know what, I got to do this. And back then, that's when Nikon came out with the P900. and which is a super zoom camera. And I went down to my beach. I literally sat in the water. My camera is a foot or two over the water. And I zoomed in on a buoy, which was over 10 miles away. Well, there should be 66 feet of curvature, 66 feet of curvature. And I was like, wait a minute, something's wrong. This can't be true. Maybe the curvature formula is wrong. And so I went to the debunking sites. The first thing they say about 8 inches per mile squared is it's not a circle, it's a parabola. And that is absolutely true. After 1,000 miles, it starts getting a little inaccurate. There's basically three different curvature calculators, and under 1,000 miles, they're all within feet of each other. They're all within, less than a half of a percent of accuracy. It's only when you get out farther than that, but you can't see 1,000 miles. Okay, you can't see through the thickness of the atmosphere. So the other argument they have on the debunking website, and I went to the debunking website because I don't want to be going just to the flat earth side. I want to hear the debunking side. And this one, which is Metabunk, which is just a guy, Mick West, who is basically a paid disinformation agent. He says, well, when you're on the ball, when you're examining something, you're halfway down, the hump is between you, and it's halfway down the other side, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I'll give it to him. Okay, so there's only 33 feet of curvature. How come I can see that buoy? How come I can see that buoy if it should be behind a wall of 33 feet? Then they come back with, well, it's refraction, right? It's refracting up. So one time, a bunch of years ago, this guy named Joshua Nowicki took a photo across Lake Michigan of Chicago, 50 miles away, about 50 miles away. And it was on the news, and the weatherman said, it's a mirage, right? Because it would be below the curvature. They admit that the whole city would be below the curvature. So they said it was a mirage, and they came up with this wild explanation. When you see a mirage, mirages are wavy. Sometimes they're upside down. That's called a fata morgana, right? But a couple of our guys went down to Lake Michigan, got on a boat, said, okay, clear day. We can see Lake Michigan. They put their camera on it, and then they went 50 miles across the lake, keeping the city line in the camera the whole time. Okay. Well, if it was a mirage, it would have to disappear. It would have to morph out. It would have to come up over the horizon at some point. It didn't. It was there the whole time. They're hiding God. But if you don't want to go with that, they're hiding more land. If you don't want to go with that, it's all about control. Think about this. If you had a pet tiger, and you had him fenced in your yard, 1/4 of an acre, he's probably going to walk the perimeter a lot, wonder what the heck's going on, what's beyond there. Okay. Then if you put him in a safari park that was 500 miles around, and you put him in the center of the park, one day he's going to find the fence. If he goes that far, he's going to see the fence. He's going to be like, he's going to turn around. He's going to go right back into the park. But you put a human in that park, when he finds that fence, what's he going to do? He's never going to stop thinking about that fence. He's going to want to go over there. I don't care how big the park is, right? So what if the world was set up in a way where they're hiding more land, okay? They're hiding more land. So if, what do I mean by that? So for those of you that are new to flat Earth, the world they tell us Antarctica is at the bottom of the globe. It's a continent at the bottom of the globe. It's about 10 to 13,000 miles in circumference. But nobody has been able to circumnavigate Antarctica. Last person did it was Captain Cook. It took him 3.5 years. He went over 60,000 miles. Well, if the equator is only 24,000, how the heck is that 60,000, right? And the way it is the world is set up where Antarctica is the shoreline of our world pond. Think of all the oceans of the world just like a giant pond, a giant lake, right? What holds a lake in? The land that is higher than the water. The land that's higher than the water. Don't believe me? Lower part of the edge of a lake and watch what happens to the water. Well, our water needs a container, and that container is Antarctica. It's the highest land on Earth. It makes sense. It's holding our water in. So if we were a lake, we'll say it's even 100 miles in circumference, beautiful, big, beautiful lake, and you're on a boat and you're 50 miles out, you can't even see the shore, right? And there's islands all over the place. That's your world. That's your entire world. At the center of the lake, there's a magnetic mountain, a big magnetic mountain. And so you get a compass out and it points towards the mountain. Okay, so you want to head east or west, right? And so you're looking at your compass and you're on your boat and you're dead reckoning west, but that needle always has to point towards the center. So east and west become circles around the center of the earth. East and west become circles around the magnetic north. That's true on a flat earth and a globe earth. It's not a theory. Get a magnet, put on a table, put a compass next to it, and try to push it east. You have to constantly turn to the left, try to push it west. You have to constantly turn to the right. Okay. So now, if you want to go south, south is every direction away from the center. So you're in the middle of the lake, you head south, you're now heading through the outer half of the lake. That's the southern part of the lake. And all of a sudden you get to the end of the lake. Do you fall off? You're going to fall off the flat earth. Show me the edge. It's the edge of the lake. It's the land. Climb up onto the land and go for a hike. Well, maybe you go 100 miles, 200 miles. Can't see that lake anymore. All of a sudden you come to another lake. Okay. And you get on a boat, you go out there. There's more islands out there, more land, right? What if we lived in a place like, where I'm so sorry, I'm just looking for a quick video, where there is more land beyond Antarctica. Okay. What if beyond Antarctica was more oceans? Antarctica was a ring around us, maybe a couple thousand miles wide. And then you go into more oceans and there's more land out there, extra land, extra territory. They never teach us to deal with large numbers. And the large numbers they're talking about are quadrillions and sextillions of miles. But let's just talk about a trillion miles. Okay. The closest star is about 4.5 light years away. That's 25 trillion miles. Okay. That's cosmically close in their ridiculous, in their ridiculous universe. Okay. So 25 trillion miles, if you're traveling a mile per second, which is faster than anybody's ever gone, for a trillion seconds, you're 1/25th of the way to the closest star. Polaris is 433 light years away, and we can see it. Think about this also. Polaris is 46 times bigger than our sun. Betelgeuse is 10,000 times bigger than Polaris. All of these different stars. Why are there only two celestial sizes in the sky? The sun and the moon are the same size, and all of the stars and the wandering stars, also known as planets, are essentially the same size. How come there's no intermediate sizes? Okay. How come there's not every size imaginable? Why does everything become a point of light? The global argument is, well, as things go farther and farther away, you got your sun and it moves 93 million miles away and it just becomes the size of a coin held at arm's length. But if you double the distance, it's going to be tiny, tiny. Well, what if you made it 1,000 times the distance? Would you even see it? They're like, well, once it gets to a certain point, it always stays that size and travels forever. That's ridiculous. Light expanding expands. Blowing up a balloon, the balloon gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until it's gone. Light is like sound. It disperses as it spreads. Now, if I whispered to you 100 yards away, you wouldn't hear me. But if we had a PVC tube and I whispered into that tube and you listened, you'd hear it because it's channeling it. What's channeling the light in space from spreading out? Right? Fiber optics will channel light through a fiber, but that light is unseeable at, whatever distance. We are not on a spinning globe. What is the construct of flat Earth? What is the exact map? I don't know. We have a pretty accurate one. When we look at flight routes and stuff, flight routes make sense on a flat Earth. And, if you look at my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, when you look at the sun goes around, the sun is the hour hand. It circles around the earth, and wherever the sun is, it's noon there. Like when I look at the app here, this is just one map I'm showing you right here. This is like all these different ponds, right? These are all the different ponds. Like we live in one pond and there's other ponds, right? Imagine this is a pond in Kansas and then there's more ponds all around. And that could be where everyone lives. But the app, getting back to the sun and the moon, on the app, the sun is the hour hand, and wherever the sun is, it's noon. So when it's noon on the East Coast in America, it's 9 a.m. on the West Coast. And when it's noon, when the sun is over Sydney, Australia, I can call up my friend PK and go, hey, PK, what time is it? Where's the sun? And he'd be like, oh, it's right over me, and it's noon, right? So there's something accurate about the Gleason's map. This is a representation of the Gleason's map. It's used for navigation. It makes sense. Is it exactly like this? We don't know, because we're not allowed to explore the outer. On a globe, you got your northern hemisphere at the top and your southern hemisphere at the bottom, and you have your equator right around the middle. So if you were a pilot and you can pick any two, any random number, any combination of any two northern locations, right? Anywhere, whether it's London to New York or Japan or whatever. Would you ever need to go below the equator to get from one northern location to another northern location?
Wouldn't have thought so.
Absolutely not. And no plane ever does. They all stay in the northern hemisphere. Well, if you had those, whatever two airports you picked, the latitude and longitude, pick the mirroring southern latitude and longitude. And would they ever need to come into the northern hemisphere to go from a southern location to a southern location? The answer is no, but they do, right? There's many the long distance flights that cross into the northern hemisphere, right? And this is what, the only argument Globers have, which isn't even an argument, is the lights in the sky that we call the stars, which no one has even proven what size they are, how far they are, if they're even physical. We can scientifically prove that the distances and sizes they tell us are impossible. So we know we know something about them. But the southern flights make absolutely no sense. I was gonna make a point, I lost it. The southern flights make absolutely no sense. Oh, here's the point I was gonna make. Going from Santiago, South America, Chile, to Australia, the shortest route would be right across, right around Antarctica or even over Antarctica, but we're not allowed to fly over Antarctica because it's too dangerous, which is nonsense. They go all the way up into North America. Sometimes they go all the way over to China, and then they go down if they're going to Western Australia, which makes no sense. But on a flat Earth, it's a straight line. If you want to go to Western Australia, you go from Santiago across the United States, Alaska, Japan, Singapore, and it's a straight line if you look at it, right? And then there's also a book that anyone can go. It's free online, a PDF. It's called the 16 Emergency Landings That Prove Flat Earth. And those flights where there was an emergency, medical emergency, whatever, they had to land, and they went like 1,500, 1,000 miles out of the way to go to an airport, according to the globe, from where they should have been. But if you look at it on a flat Earth map, all of the landing sites were right on a line in between. If you draw a straight line on a flat Earth map between the origin and the destination, they're all landing there. These actually prove flat Earth. But here's the problem. All the work has been done for you. All of the news articles, all of the flight routes, all of the flight information, all of everything that happened. It's all put together in each paragraph, each chapter of this book. All the work's been done. Now, the only work that you have to do to understand that these actually prove the Earth is flat is read the book. But most people won't even do that. People are lazy. My co-host Jaron from the Jaronism channel, he always says, if you want to be rich, somebody told him this, if you want to be rich, just invent something that'll make people lazier. Okay. Because like DoorDash, like here, a fast food delivery service, right? Whatever will make people lazier, people will gobble it up. People don't want to think. And people say, well, what difference does the shape make? I still have to go to work. Well, you're in a jail. You're in a prison. Somebody's stealing your life. Somebody's stealing your power. Somebody is hiding your abilities, hiding abundance, hiding freedom. And you don't care? You don't care? The shape of the Earth doesn't matter. It's what they're doing, what they're hiding from us. They don't want us to know that our thoughts create our reality. Everything you have in your life is because of the way you think. People that are like, oh, I'm gonna just living paycheck to paycheck my whole life, and I'm gonna, oh, I'm gonna grow old and I'm gonna get sick and I'm gonna die. Well, you're creating that reality because they're programming you into believing that's what happens. That I'm gonna get on. I have medications for my whole life, and then when I get old, Eventually I'm going to die of cancer or whatever. Yeah, you're creating that reality. They don't want you to know that your thoughts manifest the world for you. Here's the biggest conspiracy of the world. The universe, which I like to call the Earth system, the living Earth system, is conspiring to deliver every thought you have to you, good or bad. Whatever thought you have, it is conspiring to deliver that reality to you. You actually have it before you see it. It's just manifesting. And your thoughts, you are your biggest enemy, right? Is that I saying that right? You're your own biggest enemy. Because your thoughts hold things away, right? Your thoughts hold things away. You know, the old saying, don't put the cart in front of the horse, right? Mm-hmm. Am I dating myself with that? Don't put the cart in front of the horse. You absolutely have to put the cart in front of the horse. You have to, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but that's actually a good sign, a good thing. They tell us Antarctica is a continent at the bottom of a ball. So you go down to Santiago, we get a bunch of people, we fly to that tip of Antarctica. We refuel the planes. We get 2 airplanes. We get scientists, teachers, flat earthers, globe earthers. And we get on these 2 airplanes, and one of them goes to the left, flies about 1,000 feet in the air, follows the shoreline. The other one goes to the right, follows the shoreline 1,000 feet in the air. And 6-7 hours later, they should both meet on the other side if the Earth is 10,000 miles, if it's 10,000 miles around, if the Antarctica. But they can't, because it's much farther, and they'll never let us do it. They won't let us do it. But I have a simpler one, which we're actually working on doing. And again, it's for those of you that are new to this, this might be confusing, but I'll make it as simple as possible. Airplanes, when they take off, they spin up a gyro, which holds rigidity in space, a 3-axis gyro. And so when it takes off, the gyro stays level with the Earth. So when the airplane rolls, the gyro tells them what angle they're rolling at. When they go up or down, the gyro stays level. And that's that horizon thing you see that they use. Well, I suggest that we get another gyro and we spin it upright and we align it with east and west. Okay. And so on the equator or south of the equator, we get a plane up, we line that gyro 3-axis gimbal, and we head directly east or directly west, just following the gyro, ignoring GPS, ignoring the magnetic compass. And if the Earth is a globe, if we're in the southern hemisphere, east and west, if we're going west should veer off to the side. You should be heading, it should veer off. But in reality, it's always going to veer off to the north. So let me explain that. Let me try to explain that better. If you want to head east or west, if you want to head west and you go straight and you don't correct to the north, you're now heading south. Automatically, you're heading south. And on a flat Earth, that's always the case. Even in the southern hemisphere, if I head west, I have to keep correcting to the right, to the north, to maintain my heading. But on a globe, I'd have to correct to the south, because south would spin off that way. The west would spin off to the left instead of to the right. But we know that it's going to go the other way. So all we need is an airplane, a couple hundred, several $100 gyros, a couple $1,000, and a way to document it. And I think we can prove it. We don't have to go a couple 100 miles to prove it. And the farther south you go, the worse it gets for the globe. I don't know if I explained that correctly. We're going to make some videos on it. We're trying to line up some planes, get a little funding together, but it's very simple. And, science says, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism, and, he's always saying, well, we don't have time for flat earthers. Barack Obama, like 6 or 8 times during his presidency, he said, we don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society, because he wants to steer you to the Flat Earth Society. If you're looking into flat Earth, go there so you can laugh at flat Earth. Right. And the head spokesman, Neil deGrasse and Bill Nye, they say they don't have time for it, but they do video after video after video strawmanning us, saying just ridiculous stuff about the globe and gravity, never addressing anything. This one experiment would do it. This one trip around Antarctica would do it. They're lying to you. And the moon landing videos don't hold up as well as the movie Jaws holds up. Okay. They're horrible when you look at it. You can see they're hanging from wires. You can see that the spacewalks, they're either hanging from wires or they're in a pool. If you look at the International Space Station, we catch them on wires. We catch them using green screens. We see all sorts of stuff. We see horrible backdrops on the moon landings. Just garbage. You catch NASA lying once. You catch them lying once, and you can unwind it all the way to we didn't go to the moon. No one's gone to space. On the app, I don't know if you found it yet. Hit the web button, scroll down, and go to the rockets are balloons. Rockets are balloons, right? If you go to the rockets are balloons, you'll see how they fake all of these moon landings, right? So you go to the web button and you go down, faking space balloon rockets, and up come a whole bunch of videos. Watch those. Bye-bye, spaceman. Okay. All of that just shows you how easily they fake this stuff. And then if you watch it, like some of the recent stuff, Elon Musk's videos and SpaceX and Jeff Bezos, unbelievable fakery. They shot Captain Kirk into space, 94-year-old man, however, he's 90 something. They slingshot him into space. He parachutes down, slams into the ground. Not a single paramedic or doctor, right? We have a kids' carnival here. We have to have friggin' ambulances, right? You have a road race, a swim in the ocean. You have to have friggin' paramedics. Nothing. No real reporters, just husbands and wives and Jeff Bezos and high fives. And this fat old man, Captain Kirk, comes out. He's fine. He just slammed into the ground so friggin' hard. Look at the space Red Bull space jump. When he opens up his door, there's not a fisheye camera, and you can see the horizon at the same level as it is when he got in it, when it was on the ground. So the camera behind the chair is at the same level, and the horizon is at the exact same level from ground and at 127,000 feet. Well, as you go up higher, you can see farther. The ball should curve away, but it's at the same level. And then the picture of Red Bull where he shows the Earth, it shows this big curved Earth. But we took the picture, we zoomed in, we saw the lakes and rivers, and it's all New Mexico, right? New Mexico is now a third of the Earth. All the conspiracies, the New York event, Connecticut, Boston Marathon. And I called that exposing the big three, because those things are so easy to expose for anyone willing to look. And then I heard about flat Earth, and I'm like, oh no, not this. This is going to discredit everything I did. And then I kind of forced to look into it. Then I realized it was true. I kind of kept quiet about it for a while, because I was like, this is going to, people are going to freak out. But then I'm like, wait a minute, it's the truth. We don't live on a ball, and I'm like, well, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? Why would they lie? How can you get so many people to lie? It's not that many people lying. And then when I understood that this is how they get away with all the stuff they get away with, this is how they do it, right? Because if you're spinning out of control, lost in space, you have no idea where you are. You have no idea the power of your mind. You have no idea what this place is. Videos, my YouTube channel, DITRH, stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Everything is linked at flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com. Once you dive in, once you go flat, you never globe back, is what they say. And what difference does it make? It makes all the difference in the world. When if you imagine, every cell in your body is reacting to your core beliefs, whether they're conscious or not. And if your core belief is that you're spinning through an infinite space vacuum where an asteroid could take you out at any moment, we're running out of food, we're running out of fuel, we're running out of all sorts of things. Every cell in your body is having that stress, that they're not at ease, they're having dis-ease, versus when you understand that you're at the center of creation, that there is no shortages, that there's plenty of land, there's plenty of food, there's plenty of water, and that people are generally good, they're just lost. You all of a sudden you become at ease. You're no longer afraid. You're no longer subconsciously in fear, and everything lifts up. If you Google flat Earth, you're going to go nowhere. On my website, flatearthdave.com, if you can't get the app or whatever, There is the Flat Earth Crash Course. Click that little button there, and it's going to give you a list of videos. Turn off Netflix for a week. Every night, watch another video. They're well produced. They're fascinating. And the first one is called The Next Level by Hibbler Productions. I happen to be in it. And it's really a game changer for people that are new.